Privileged surroundings. Madrid of the Austrias. King Philip II ordered the transfer of the royal court to the city of Madrid around 1561. The young monarch and his wife, Isabel of Valois, preferred it over Toledo or Valladolid. The principal reasons were practical in nature. Madrid sat at the center, equidistant to the peninsular shores. Its water was good, the climate healthy and pleasant. The royal court's arrival spurred a spectacular and somewhat chaotic phase in the city's growth. To control the resulting disarray, the Policía y Ornato was created and presided over by architect Francisco de Mora, foreman to Juan de Herrera during the construction of the monastery in El Escorial. This council was in charge of aligning facades, suppressing steep unevenness, and eliminating projections. With the death of his father, King Philip III transferred the court temporarily to Valladolid. But Madrid continued to grow. It is exactly at this time, in 1590, when records show the existence of the building that today lodges Botin. Documentation shows that the proprietor had asked for the so-called privilege of exemption of guests. The privilege was a tax paid by proprietors of multi-storied buildings who didn't want to lodge members of the royal court who stayed neither in the palace nor in the houses of nobles when visiting Madrid. The royal court returned to Madrid in 1606. The reform completed in 1620 of the old Plaza of Arrabal, now Plaza Mayor or Main Square, converts this into one of the key commercial districts of the city. Shoemakers, tanners, cutlers, zinc workers, horseshoers. In fact, the streets of the area soon took on the names of the trades plied in their confines: Ribera de Curtidores, Plaza de Herradores, and the famous Calle de Cuchilleros. Here, in number 17, is where a French cook named Jean and his wife of Asturian origin started up the business Botin. At the dawn of the 18th century, the couple aimed to work for a nobleman in the court of the Austrias. The pair opened a small inn and renovated the ground floor of the building in 1725, closing the existing arcades. Evidence of this work is found at the entrance of the restaurant. Also dating from the period is Botin's firewood furnace, which continues to attract passers-by with its tempting aromas. Curiously, Union laws prohibited the inns from selling meat, wine, or other foodstuffs until well into the 18th century. The inns were limited to preparing what guests brought to be cooked. The legend that a traveler would only find what he brought to a Spanish inn was born of this peculiarity. Another curious anecdote of the period is found in the 1987 edition of the Guinness Book of Records, which affirms that a young Francisco de Goya cleaned plates in Botin around 1765. In this same edition, Botin receives the famous title of the world's oldest restaurant. But let's not stray from the history of our house. The Botin couple passed on without descendants. That's when a nephew of the wife named Candido Remis took over the business and changed the name to Sobrino de Botin, or nephew of Botin. The ground floor was renovated again in the 19th century. A multicolored wooden frieze, gilded with gold and placed at the entryway, was accompanied by a showcase and a pastry shop counter built to sell small meat pies, pastries, and cream delicacies. Botin was considered a house of meals at the time because the term restaurant was reserved for a very few exclusive establishments that tried to emulate Parisian premises.